Hey guys, it's Retro Gaming 16 and welcome to my first ever review on this channel. Today we'll be looking at Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team for the GBA, not the DS. A game that I very much enjoyed as a child and my personal gateway into the dungeon crawler game genre and RPGs in general. Nevertheless, today I'll be providing a fair review of this game, factoring both its pros and cons equally. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. The game starts off with a pretty unique introduction where you find yourself being asked seemingly trivial questions about your interests as a person. It turns out that the answers to the different questions will determine what nature you have, such as calm or naive, and will actually determine what Pokemon you'll be playing as throughout the game. The Pokemon that can be gotten are the starter Pokemon of all three of the Pokemon games before this game, and a few others such as Machop and Cubone, meaning that you have a broad selection of the types Fire, Water, Grass, Ground, Fighting, Electric, and Normal types. Secondly, you can choose a partner Pokemon from this selection to be your companion throughout the game. While this introductory sequence is still a fun way to start off the game, it can cause a few problems that can chap your experience throughout the game. Take one of the choices for the starters, Cubone. This Pokemon has a variety of weaknesses as a ground type, being weak to ice, water, and grass types. However, if you want to cover your weaknesses with your partner Pokemon, then tough luck, because none of the partner Pokemon can cover all its weaknesses, leaving it with always a glaring weakness throughout the game. The fact is that there is no easy way to choose your starter out of the selection without going through this questioning sequence, which makes it difficult to have a tight balanced team of Pokemon, and it's especially bad coupled with what I'll be covering later on. Negativity aside, however, this introductory sequence is still fun and an enjoyable way to start out the game, if you can get around the flaws. Anyway, why don't we begin with checking out the plot of the game. After the introduction, your Pokemon wonders where it is and finds itself in an open prairie where you are encountered by your partner Pokemon, who explains to you that you are a Pokemon and asks what has happened. You oddly remember yourself being a human, and you explain it to the other Pokemon to their surprise. Suddenly, you are encountered by a Butterfree who explains that his child Caterpie is missing in the woods. You and your partner Pokemon partner up and begin search into the Tiny Wood, the first and shortest dungeon in the game, in search of Caterpie. This beginning sequence is one of my favorites, as it easily thrusts you into the game without any need of a long introduction to the character, and quickly starts the first dungeon of the game. Don't take this beginning as a sign of the shallow plot, however, as this game is one of the most engaging plots I've experienced in a video game. The main emphasis of the plot is the journey that you and your partner make as becoming a rescue team, a team dedicated to dungeon exploring and rescuing of others. It is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon after all. As well as this, the mysteries of your past humanity is a topic that is expounded upon throughout the game and is very engaging as you find about yourself as a human. As for the graphics, for a GBA game, the sprite work is amazing. It's well detailed and surprisingly high quality for having to make at least sprites for each Pokemon. In addition, the soundtrack is one of my favorites. There are plenty of well-composed tunes that will accompany you throughout your experience, be it from dungeons like the Great Canyon or even my favorite, the Sky Tower. Overall, this game does an excellent job creating an appropriate and engaging atmosphere for the player, and serves as a pretty compelling motivation to continue the game. Fortunately, however, this game can sometimes require compelling motivation to get through, as we will discuss next. Why don't we move on to the gameplay? After rescuing Caterpie in the Tiny Woods, you bring him back to Butterfree, who in turn gives you a reward of berries of different types that heal status conditions in dungeons. More on that later. After Butterfree leaves with Caterpie in tow, your partner asks you about what you're going to be doing after what happened. You explain to him that you're not sure, and he takes you into his abode near the Pokemon Square. You and your partner decide to form a rescue team and take on a few rescue missions, such as rescuing Magnemite from the Thunderwave Cave. The next day, you wake up and meet with your partner outside your house, who brings you over to the Pokemon Square and introduces its facilities to you. This is the point of the game which a lot is opened up to you. In the Pokemon Square, there are many different facilities to aid you during your quest. Among them, there's the Felicity Bank, which allows you to safely store money you find in dungeons, the Kangaskhan Storage, which allows you to store your items safely, and the Kecleon Shop, which you can buy items from, among other facilities that we'll go over later when applicable. One of the main facilities here, however, is one that you probably saw in the intro, the Pelipper Post Office, in which you can take rescue requests from Pokemon and earn prize money or even items from doing so. Anyway, let's say we move on and talk about the main crux of the game, the Mystery Dungeons. The dungeons in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series are similar to many dungeon crawler games. When entering a dungeon, you are snapped to a grid in which you can move in 8 directions, a design that works well with the strategy-based layout of these dungeons. In these dungeons, you will find at random items that work to various effects, such as healing or restoring your status, usually in the form of berries. There are also items such as Wonder Orbs, which have profound effects but cannot be used with bosses, and Seeds, which have effects that usually affect only a single Pokemon and can be used with bosses. In addition, you'll find enemy Pokemon which will combat you with trying to complete the dungeon. In order to take them on, you must use your 4-slot arsenal of attacks to defeat them. Each attack has a PP or power points meter, and by using an attack, its PP meter is drained. If a move has no PP left, you cannot use that move until the end of the dungeon or usage of a max elixir, which is an item that can restore its PP. In addition, you must keep track of your belly meter, which, when empty, causes you to lose health and eventually perish. You can replenish it with apples or other various food items. The main goal of these dungeons is to find the stairwell to advance to the next floor, in which most dungeons have many to complete. However, if you are defeated by enemies while going through a dungeon, you will lose half of your items and lose all of your money, calling importance to the aforementioned Felicity Bank and Kangaskhan Storage to keep your items safe in keeping. Many of the plot-important dungeons have bosses as well at the end, which are difficult to defeat and can often end your dungeon trek if you're not careful. What results from these mechanics is usually a gauntlet of survival as you search for the randomly generated stairwell to advance and ultimately get through the dungeon. It is clear that there is a harsh penalty in dying, losing money and items, and even having to start from the beginning, the equivalent of losing some 10 or 20 floors of progress. Because of this, it is important to have a tight balanced team, as I mentioned before. In addition, items are essential because of the game's gauntlet-like design. However, this brings me into my main gripe with this style of gameplay. Do you notice a similarity between these vital dungeon factors? That's right, all are primarily dependent on luck. As you progress through a dungeon, many of your needs are almost exclusively satisfied by random items, such as max elixirs to replenish PP or apples to curb your hunger. Even against bosses, it is important to use strong moves and items such as seeds to defeat them or berries to replenish your health. Luck is also commonly determines if your attack will land on the Pokemon you are fighting. In addition, luck is also the primary factor of your ability to pick your team of Pokemon throughout the game. The point is that the drought of items and other random factors can hinder you greatly, creating a huge problem if these factors are not on your side throughout progression of a dungeon. What results from this is generally a trial and error based system as you hope to succeed, restarting from scratch if random factors turn against you. Because of this, the game can be a trial to get through at times and often finds you clinging to non-luck based factors such as painfully grinding to raise your level to succeed. Overall, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team is an enjoyable game, offering a complex and engaging storyline, a great soundtrack, and fun gameplay, but it suffers from a few hindering, potentially dangerous setbacks. There are a plethora of random factors that control your experience in the game, and difficult dungeons to push through while facing these factors. Because of this, many of the difficult dungeons of the game, of which there are many, are trial and error based, making this game challenging to get through at times. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team is enjoyable, but one that requires perseverance to get through and a little bit of luck. However, it is important to note that not all of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games have the same problem as this one. I can easily recommend a few of this game's sequels, such as Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky for the DS, and Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon for the 3DS. These games, while still having a few of the same problems as Red Rescue Team, do away with some of the prevalent ones. For example, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon permits you the choice of your starter Pokemon at the beginning of the game, making it easier than ever to have a tight balanced team. In addition, Explorers of Sky tones down a bit of the difficulty in the dungeons, permitting you less of a reliance on items and more on your own Pokemon's levels and other Pokemon. If you find Red Rescue Team difficult, you may be interested in checking out these games instead, as they are true to the original game's great formula, but more fair with the difficulty. Anyways guys, this concludes my review of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. I hope that you are able to draw some insight from this review, and if you enjoyed it, consider liking this video or even subscribing to this channel. If you have a dissenting opinion, I'd love to listen down in the comments section. I plan to give more reviews of different games in the future, so criticism helps further my reviewing ability and goes a long way. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later for another video.